Welcome to Central Booking, your portal to fantastical realms of books and literature. We're your co-hosts, Rod and Jay. Please join us each and every week as we embark on quests through enchanted forests, face mythical creatures, and unravel the secrets of spellbinding stories. Whether you're a seasoned fantasy reader or new to the world of magic, we will explore the latest releases and discuss beloved classics and chat with incredible people. So grab your wizard staff, prepare your spells, and let's get lost in the pages of imagination. Welcome back to Central Booking. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to all of our channels. Help us grow. Be sure to share with your family and friends. Today, we're going to be discussing Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams. We wanted to give him a special shout out. We were so excited to see that he liked and reposted our TikTok and Instagram, and we'd like to invite him in the future, possibly for a future episode. So we would love to collaborate with him in that. But if you haven't found us already, if you can find us on TikTok at central.booking.podcast. Our YouTube is Central Booking Podcast. Spotify is Central Booking, and our Instagram is Central Booking Podcast. And you can access all those links to our socials in our link tree. This will not be spoiler free. So if you have not read Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams, proceed at your own risk. We're going to be discussing the dedication, author's notes, prologue, and chapters 1 through 3. But that does not mean that we may not bring something that's happened after 3. So again, this is not spoiler free, so just be mindful.
That's right. That's right.
And so, again, we're reading Blood at the Root, which is Ladarian has described this as the Harry Potter he needed growing up. It's Malik Baron as he discovers his magic and heads to an HBCU for the magically gifted. And after reading the dedication and the author's notes, how do you feel about it being African American and seeing that representation in like a fan?
First of all, shout out to Ladarian Williams, man. Like, I don't feel like his book gets enough credit. I feel like a lot of people overlook this book, and this needs to be brought up. He's not given the credit that he's deserved. This man done put out a classic. This is like Get Rich or Die Trying. This is the Get Rich or Die Trying for African Americans for HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get our own magical college. We get our own magical community. Like, this is for us, by us, the FUBU method. So I feel like, shout out to you, Ladarian Williams. I can't wait for book 2. You know we're gonna be tuned in. You know we're gonna be tapped in because we active. This I've asked and I've promoted this book even before we done did the podcast. I have the audio book. She got the one with the spray tan edges, and I just feel like he's an author who gave us a story. Like, he gave us a full arc with great characters, great scenery. He painted Alabama well. He painted Louisiana well. The aura around magic for Black kids. And the only thing I will say is that I can't give this to my son because there's a little bit too much cursing in it for me. Not for me, but I feel like for him. So if it's like an audio book version that's like a clean one, I would let my son listen to the audio book and or read the book, because it has everything that we didn't have growing up. I stood in line for Harry Potter. I would stand in line for this book. I would see the episode. I would do whatever. So Ladarian Williams, shout out to you. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for putting in the hard work to give us this book. We're going to be waiting for your next book. I know you got your cover reveal in a couple of days. We need to really get this book out there. We need to promote this book. We need to get this brother onto the big stage, because he deserves to be up there with the Rebecca Yaroses, the Tracy Wolfs. He needs to be up there. So again, shout out to you, Ladarian Williams. We appreciate you for doing this for our culture. I ain't gonna say they not like us, but y'all know what it is.
Just piggybacking what you were saying, I came across him on TikTok,
right?
And he was just describing it as Harry Potter HBCU, and I have my son is Afro-Boricua, African and Puerto Rican, and it's the representation, that Black boys are magic, that Black kids are magic, and I just remember him seeing himself in Miles Morales, because Afro-Boricua, and he was just like, oh my God, that's me. That's a superhero that looks like me.
Right,
and it's so important to have that representation in books, because everything is catered to, the white community, and seeing that, and just me being from Puerto Rico and seeing the roots, the root magic in Blood at the Root, and the African and the Caribbean, I connected in a way that I didn't think I would. So again, amazing read. And like you said, if we could get a clean version for the young, because my kid's 10, your kids are kind of ranging in there.
11.
So absolutely, but amazing read, and I can't wait to dive into this with y'all. Did you have a chance to read the dedication?
No, I didn't get a chance to read this.
So I'm just going to read
the one where he was talking about the not all of us have magic.
Yes.
Or growing up? Okay.
Growing up. Let me see if I can. It says, this is dedicated to the 17-year-old black boy who the world told he doesn't have magic. Let me let you in on a little secret. You do. It's in your blood. It's nestled deep in your bones. It's in the very soul you walk on that's been blessed by the sweat and tears of your ancestors. Walk in it with pride. To Ashton, this is for you. And I have to tell my kid each and every single day, don't let people dull your shine and don't let people take away your magic. It's what shines bright. And so that dedication got me like with goosebumps. I was like, we're about to be on a magical ride with Malik here. So
yes,
excited to get into it.
A very magical ride, literally and physically and mentally and emotionally and everything that you can think of that, you know, in reading a book with carrying emotion is in this book. I'm sorry, I'm excited, but you know,
I'm excited too. You know, absolutely. So we're just gonna touch on the pro
turned up.
So I'm just gonna kind of talk to y'all about the characters were introduced to us in the prologue in chapters 1 through 3. You know, we don't know the importance just yet, but I feel like Ladarian was very intentional with the little nuggets that he dropped throughout the
100%.
book. So of course we have Malik Barron. He's the star of the show.
Star.
And then we have his mama. We have Alexis. We have his foster brother Tay. This is all about found family with Malik because you'll know here in a little bit why he had to have found family. The Carwells, which were the foster family that they kind of grew up in.
Carwells.
Katia Washington and Bawan Samedi or Sam.
We can say it. Katia Washington. She missing. We don't know where she at. She appeared on the TV at the gas station. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Absolutely. All right. So what are your thoughts so far on the prologue? What are your first thoughts going into that? Oh, man,
the prologue was amazing. He definitely, I'll get into the prologue. Since we're here, you asked me, I'll get into it. So Malik is 4th of July. He's outside. He sees all the fireworks. He's at his auntie Denise. They had a little 4th of July get together in Helena, Alabama. He said the whole hood smelled like gunpowder and barbecue. So you couldn't really tell what the difference was. So, you know, Malik is chilling, obviously. But then he was, what was they doing? The Cupid Shuffle or the whatever, cha-cha. I think it was the Cupid Shuffle or something like that. And then he said he felt something was off. So, you know, I guess that was that magic instinct. He felt something was off at the house. So he said he got on the bike. He started flying through the neighborhood, you know, and he was like, somebody tried to shoot a Roman candle at him, you know, but if he ain't feel what he felt at the crib, he would have got off and lit his ass up. His words, not mine.
Right.
You know, and as he gets home, you know, he said his cousin Jeffro, you know, he said he calls him Bart, like I guess Bart Simpson because he's bad as ish. But the funny thing he said was what he told him. He was like, he's so black, he looks blue at night. I thought that was a good joke. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, how black are you, bruh? It's nighttime in Alabama. They shooting fireworks. And he said, you so damn black. You so damn black. You look blue in the night. That's insane. Yeah. But as he's describing his neighborhood and this neighbor and that neighbor, he was talking about dude and his mother said he's like a gossiper and a beauty parlor and all that stuff. Like the way he's describing his neighborhood while still trying to race home to get to his mother because he didn't know, but he felt like something was wrong. You know, he busts into the house. He said he felt the cold air breeze and he could hear his mother screaming. And I'm like, oh, this is how we starting the book? Like, this is what we doing? So I was like, all right, cool. This is where we going, Ladarian? Lights, camera, action. Let's get to it.
Right, exactly.
So he going there. He said he seen what? 4 hooded dudes or 4 hooded people. Can't say dudes. 4 hooded up people that had his mother surrounded while she's in the middle. So to picture that, you probably got a person here, and then her mother's in the middle, surrounded by what, an orb of green light. And it looked like she was chanting something, and I'm pretty sure they was chanting something. So, you know, obviously we know what happened.
Right.
She disappears, bubble of magic of green light. And then Malik is feeling all of these things. He could feel his magic conjuring between them because he's so lost in what it was going on. And he sees his mother and she's hurt or she's hurting and it's activating his powers. And he said somebody looked at him and kind of went back to doing what they was doing. They probably was putting a spell on her and we'll find out later what happens. I don't think they was going to kill her. It'd have been too easy to just kill her right off the rip.
Right.
Right. So I felt like, in them doing their powers, Malik is activating his powers unbeknownst to him, and this is the first
Right.
time that he's really experienced his magic. And obviously Malik he has this blue flame that I'm assuming blue magic aura around him.
Yes.
And he just, after his mother disappears, it activates, boom, and everybody goes into a flame. He crisps everybody, and we're going to find out later
Right.
who he crisped and how that's going to come back to bite him in the tail. So after that, the police come, he's describing what happens. He burnt the whole crib down. Everybody's in it, it's just bodies around him. He don't know what happened. It was kind of like he just blacked out after he uses his magic. And we'll go into that, after he uses magic, how he feels after that.
Right.
And then the police come and they don't really know. They kind of say that his mother is, in there, and they so unidentifiable that from the fire that they just going to say his mother's in there and put the body on, not put the body on him, but say she died in the fire. So then boom, that's the prologue.
Yeah. And just kind of giving my thoughts on the prologue. I mean,
right.
you got it. Like,
right.
I focused in on things like, because typically in fantasy, and this is urban fantasy.
Right.
And what I love about urban fantasy is I don't have to learn a new world. I may have to learn the new magic system. So there's not as much world building in urban fantasy. And what I love about urban fantasy is they talk like us, how we talk with family and friends. And so it's just like you really connect with the character. But I noticed very early on that Malik's magic is blue. Yeah. There was also some green light. And so it's like, is green bad, evil?
Right.
What do these colors mean when it comes to different people who have magic? They also mention you're going to notice, I think in all the chapters, smoke and fire.
Yeah.
Whether it's Malik's blue fire. And is his mama really dead? Because I know with me.
You threw that out there early.
Right. Yeah. Like, because for me, we're going to go right into chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
The bodies aren't adding up.
Aren't adding up.
Malik saw his mom surrounded by 4 people.
Right.
So it's 5 in total, 6 with Malik.
Right.
We find out in chapter 1, they only found 3 bodies. Where are
Something
the other 2?
Adding up, huh?
Right. Something's not adding up. So is his mama really dead? Yeah. And so then we got to talk about, he was 6 years old when this happened.
Yep.
What kind of trauma is he taking with him, and how does that mold him into the Malik now? And as he, embarks on this journey,
a lot of trauma.
Yeah. So very early on, I was just like, is mama really dead? I don't know. We'll see.
I thought she was throughout the whole book. Through the first listen, I thought she was dead. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah. Well, I caught on to that very early on in my first read. It said, wait, but he said she was surrounded by 4 people.
Right.
How did why were there only 3 burned bodies? So my mind immediately went, it's fantasy. There was no body, they're not dead. And even when you do have a body in fantasy, you just never know.
You just never know. Right.
Yeah. And so you recapped prologue perfectly, but going straight into book, again, prologue started off with action, and chapter 1, there's a lot of, so act 1 is, I believe, 6 chapters. We're going to cover the first 3 today. And act 1 to me is a lot of the world building. It's kind of like just prefacing what this story, what direction this story might go in. But we are introduced to Malik and his foster brother, Tay, who is, to me, his guiding light. And everything that Malik does is for the safety and the love of his found brother, his foster brother. And so Tay I believe is going to play a really pivotal role in how he reacts to this magical world they're about to be thrown in.
Oh man, this magical world that we about to be thrown in is one that listening to it, I can picture everything that Ladarian was trying to get across. Everything that he was trying to portray in this book, from the school to where we going too far. We're just gonna stay on chapter 1, right?
We're stay on track. But so we're introduced to Tay. We we learn that they met each other in foster care,
Mm-hmm.
and that Tay's not in the best situation as far as home life goes. Malik was there with him at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and got kicked out, and he knows that he has to get him out, to the point
Right.
where Malik has emancipated himself and is on his way to kidnap his brother, to remove him from that unsafe situation. So we learn early on that Malik is willing to do anything and everything for his little brother. So we learn again that, it could be it's kind of abusive. So, he's already dealing with the trauma of what he went through as a 6-year-old. He's been in foster care for 10 years, and it just has not been the best experience. Yeah. And then we also kind of get a little bit of, we kind of touched on the whole 6 bodies, but it was only 3 in Malik. So 4, there's 2 people missing. Right. But we're also introduced to Alexis, his first
love,
friend and first love. And you wonder what kind of role Alexis is going to play in this journey. So very early on, we're introduced to his first love. We all know that puppy love can be sad. But they are in foster care together, and she gets adopted by a magical family, and they never see each other again. So very early on, I don't know about you, I said, are they going to cross paths again?
Of course.
Yeah.
Your first love,
especially her being magical. It's like,
remember, she showed him the magic when they was in the orphanage, and that's how he was somebody else like me. So I feel like that also, she's a female, opposite sex. So I felt like that also had him gravitate to her. And,
absolutely.
She used to play games. It was like the I'm gonna hit you game. He was like, she used to do mean stuff to him, but that was just, when a girl like you, that's the type of stuff that she do. So that was easy to kind of dissect.
It made him understand and realize that there's at least one other person out there like me, and you see also, in these early chapters, certain situations are triggering flashbacks to that night, where it seems like he's remembering things that he's kind of blocked out, especially as he's using his magic more. I feel like him having to use it more, it's kind of unlocking these like repressed or memories from that night.
Everything is not as actually what it seemed.
As it seems.
Because your young mind tells you something, and it's like these imaginary things pop up, and what you thought you saw wasn't what you saw. But let's go back a little bit. The reason why Malik left the Caldwells is because he had to beat Mr. Caldwell up. He punished him.
That's right.
And remember, he was met with the social workers before he could even before he could curse him out. So I guess, obviously Caldwell was abusive to them. Miss Sonia just kind of sat there, who was his wife, just kind of sat there and, took it. But she probably was just, the money was coming in. You got 2 foster kids, you're getting that foster check, as Malik said. Used to beat the mailman to the box for that check.
Right.
He ain't really give a damn about us, use the money on whatever he wanted to use, and probably wasn't taking care of them. So Malik probably in that sense stepped up like, yo, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. They got into it, Malik getting older, and he's like he said, he took off on him, punched him in the face. That's what led to Malik going to the Markhans.
The Markhams,
because he was living with them for a minute, and he was like, they was cool. They just had some strict rules or whatever the case may be. If he ain't back in the house by a certain time, door will be locked. But he was like, it was cool. It wasn't no deal, and that's why he emancipated himself. And then once he emancipated himself, that's when he went out there and he was like, man, I'm getting Tay, and we getting the hell out of Alabama. And he wanted to take him to California. Now,
but we quickly see that they are diverted. There's a detour, and we'll get into that in the next few chapters. But they're headed to California with $50 in their pocket.
Man.
So young and naive, and I think we're all at some point just I could fly by with $50, and you as an adult, you say $50 is not going to get you anywhere
for real.
But it's just, just constantly hearing him doubt himself and his identity when it comes to magic, because there's little innuendos where he's like, I'm the villain in everyone's story. I'm scared to show my magic because I'm scared of what it will do, because it took my mom away. It took, these people ended up fried to a crisp. And so he is believing everyone tell him, you're the devil, you're not worth anything. And so the self-doubt that he has, but we're going to, I think it's in chapter 2 when we get into that guiding light again is always Tay. And Tay always told him, your magic makes me feel safe. And so he doesn't hear that from too many people, because even the people he grew up with quickly turned on him. You know,
nobody would take him in after his mother.
Nobody would take him in, even though they were his aunties and uncles. And he didn't understand that. Like, I get they weren't blood, but he didn't understand. And as a 6-year-old, you think, that's my auntie. You know,
that's
play auntie. It's not your blood auntie. So he didn't understand, like, why didn't y'all take me in? And he started believing that he was responsible for his mom's death. You know, all this, it's been 10 years. And
not only that, he just says that, you know, it's hard being black, but then it's hard being black and magical. You know what I'm saying?
Black
so
and
it's
different.
like, how am I going to survive just being black? But not only that, being black with these powers. And it's like, okay. But then remember, Malik had to go and steal a car.
Yeah, he had to steal a car so he can go get his brother. And I'm going to keep saying this as we, take this dive into Blood of the Fruit, these colors, because everything that describes Malik is blue. This blue lightning, this blue fire, it's trickling up my arms. And then other people's magic is manifesting in different ways. And I'm paying attention to that, because when it comes to like magic and the magic systems within fantasy, it's like those to me are going to have some type of meaning, or it could just be, depending on where you're from and where your root magic is coming from and your ancestral magic. But I was just like, they're focusing in too much on the green and the shadows and the blue. And I'm just like, every time they mention blue, I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah, you good. Slide over some.
You good? Okay.
This way. Yeah, in the middle. You're good. Okay. You're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean,
but he goes around pretending his magic doesn't exist, which it's a trigger response. So hopefully he comes within his own and he, accepts his magic and his journey here.
One thing I will say is when he goes to get Tay, right after he steals a car, because mind you, let's reverse back. He has to go and get Tay somehow, right? So they can get to California. So he needed wheels. So he goes to this other type of neighborhood, little suburban, and he's like, I got to get this car. And it's just like the funny little things that Ladarian throw in there. Because as he's using his magic, he's conjuring his magic to steal a car. He said, he was doing his thing and he got into the car. He was trying to start it, but he was using too much, being so anxious and being so amped up. And that's the manifestation of his powers, is when he gets amped up or he gets emotional, that's when he's unlocking these abilities.
Exactly.
Every time he uses his magic, it does cost him in his fatigue when he's using his magic. But when he steals this car, he's like, these dudes come out and he's like this dude that are like a fake ass LeBron James. So I just be thinking like the insults that Malik be having, like, and we're gonna see more insults.
Yeah.
As he's stealing the car, he's going back and forth with them, like, yo, they locking the door, I'm unlocking the door. They locking the door, I'm unlocking the door.
I can picture that. It's like
he's using his magic, locking it, and they unlocking it. So they're like, what the hell is going on? So then they finally pull him out, and what's the first thing he say? They proceed to stomp a mud hole in my ass. I'm just like, yo. This dude is like, Southern. He's using this. Yeah. He's using this, but I can visualize it. I can sense it. So I'm just like, I'm with you. I'm with you, Ladarian. Yes. They start in a mud hole in his ass. Then he starts to use his magic. He starts to conjure and throw people this way, throw people that way, just using his magic. And he finally gets a chance to pull off. I thought that scene was funny. Yeah. And when he pulls up to the Carwell's house, he texts Tay, I'm outside. And Tay is just so damn innocent, man. He's just so damn, clueless. He just wants his brother. He wants to be around his brother. He just
wants to be with Malik, and Malik needs his brother. They need each other. And this is what I love so much about urban fantasies is it's so easy to picture what that scene looked like.
Right.
And then he just has a way of describing what's happening that it's just like you literally feel like you're watching a movie. But he has a way of just because there's going to be times in this book where you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to be angry,
100%.
But there, even as he's getting his ass beat, it's just like the sayings, because I've been in the South now for 20 plus years, and it's just like picking up on those Southern sayings. It's pretty cool to like see other people describe it in that way.
Right.
Yeah. So, but like you said, you're talking about he doesn't have control of his magic yet, right? And
nobody's been there to teach him. He's been doing this
nobody's been
alone
there to
for
teach
himself
him,
for the
and
last 10 years.
he's been suppressing it for so long because he inherently thinks I'm bad, my magic is bad things happen. And
When you
so
use
he
your
hasn't
magic.
practiced. The only person he may have practiced with, and it was very short lived, was Alexis, who got adopted out of the orphanage. But it's when he's emotionally charged, whether he's angry, he's scared, or looking out for his brother,
Right.
that's when he gets like these supercharges of like just a release of magic that he can control. But like you said, it fatigues him, it tires him out because he doesn't know how to
maneuver around with
it and use it. And so I'm just really excited to see how that manifests and who's going to be his mentor. Like who's going to teach him that control. Yeah.
And they don't, but they will, because we're going to tell them. We're going to tell them. We're going to tell y'all. So whatever, and then when he gets Tay, and he's like, Tay, come on. Tay goes upstairs, gets the bag. Next thing you know, Caldwell pops in the house. But before that, he's like, there's locks on the refrigerator. And like the way he's describing it, I don't need to go back and read anything for me to understand. Like he says, this is not new. So this is the stuff that Malik was dealing with. And he probably was fed up because he's seen the effects and the toll it took on Tay when he was trying to protect him. So I didn't need no backstory to that, because he sets it up to where you understand it. And I wouldn't say it was great execution, great writing by Ladarian to set it up that way, where you don't have to dig deep when you've been in that, or people who've been in that. This is why I say, when you know people who've been through these situations, you know what the backstory is already. You know what I'm saying? You might not know everything, but you can get a clear picture of how they was treated. And the way Malik talks about the Caldwells, you know what I'm saying? For me, it was like once he came downstairs and he was like, they was ready to go, and how Tay, when he told him to go to the car, and how Tay was really like abrasive. He's like, oh, I don't know if I should do that. And he like, Tay, go to the car. And he goes to the car, and son grabs him. Caldwell grabs him, and he's like, okay. He kind of like, he screams. And what did that scream remind him of? Like he said,
his mom screams.
Exactly. So what's going to happen when he thinks about that? The conjuring of his magic. And that's exactly what he uses on Caldwell. Only thing I didn't like, he disrespected Miss Sonia, even though she knew, he didn't say that she participated in it. He just said she knew. But it's like, this dude is probably beating on her. You don't know what her backstory is. Right. You know what I'm saying? It didn't sound like she treated him bad.
Yeah.
It's like she just went along with it, but she could have been scared of Mr. Caldwell.
True.
So Sonia didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah,
Not know what was going on, but she knew.
Being that she was, and I get she's probably, there's some type of abuse there, but we have to remember that Malik is now 17. He was he got left that house at 15. Who knows how long he was there with Tay. I mean, Malik was just a kid himself.
2 years.
And he said like she was just complacent in the situation. And I didn't see it as him trying, like he threw the phone, right? He throws the phone up against the wall because she's trying to call 911, because he says, no, I need to get my brother out before you call anybody.
And he has Caldwell pinned up.
Right. He's got him pinned up. And to me, you've got his back against the wall. And he's like, it's me or you.
Right.
And he says, me and my brother are going to get out of here.
Right.
And I don't know. I used to want to be like a social worker, and it's just, these adults got to do better by these kids in the foster system.
100%.
And I get she's coming from, we're assuming that there's some type of abuse there, but they're kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. It's like,
nah. You right.
Yeah.
And as their lead, and as you know, he kind of breaks up Caldwell's hands, you know what I'm saying? Kind of tosses him around, lets him
fingers,
know. And even Caldwell's like, you wouldn't be shit without that magic. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, you know what I did to you last time, so you better stand down.
Oh, so you do remember. Malik tells him, also, you do remember what happened last time.
And as he's using his magic, remember, it's uncontrollable. He don't know how to control it. But remember, he said it felt good. Doing what he did and hurting Caldwell the way he hurt him, he said it felt good. So he broke Caldwell up, and Sonia was like, please, Malik, please, can you leave? She praying and just crying and saying, stop, Malik, stop. And then he felt like he was going overboard. I felt like he was going overboard.
What brought him out of that, though, was Tay saying, Malik, stop.
Stop. Right.
Tay is his guiding light.
Right.
Tay
Understandable.
brings him, grounds him. And so when those emotions are getting the best of him, of course it feels good because Carl was his abuser, was his brother's abuser. And it's just like, finally I have the upper hand.
Because remember what he said, he saw Tay looked beat up.
So
and
that
bruised. Already, that already had set Malik off.
He's got these traumas that he's bringing with him. You know, we're talking about 6 years old. He witnesses his mom die. And then, okay. And then 10 years in foster care. And yeah, the Markhams were okay, but the Carwells were not so much. Right. And so when he gets emotional and when he's in these heated situations, it's the flashbacks to what happened that night with his mom. And he's literally living in that moment. And so he doesn't even realize how out of control his magic is coming out of him until Tay screams, stop. I don't want you to do something you're going to later regret. Because he said it felt good in the moment, but later on he also expresses, yeah, I don't want Tay to be the reason I do bad things. I don't want to be that person for Tay. I want to protect him, but I don't need to take it to that extreme. So Tay again is going to ground, I think, Malik throughout this whole story.
And that was chapter 2 right there. That was chapter 2. And it's like, yo, all of this happened in chapter 2. It's like Malik getting his get back already, but the get back ain't really get back yet. So I felt like we can talk briefly about Malik's trauma. Like Malik has a lot of trauma, and we don't have to spend much time because throughout the book we're going to see how much trauma he has from not having family, not having nobody to talk to. Yeah. This is why I like Ladarian Williams writing, because it's black boys like us that grow up without fathers, and we hold on to this trauma, and we don't realize how much it affects our way of thinking, how much it affects our way of life, how we hurt people because we was hurt, and how we feel like we're being protective, but we might be endangering in a different light. Yeah. And it's like we're trying to be overprotective, and that overprotectiveness closes us off from people. It doesn't allow us to show emotions, and we become this rock that we don't really understand how to address our own trauma and how to seek help and how to let people help us without having to just be all over everything and having our hand in everything. So I felt like Ladarian definitely, shouts out to you again, because you definitely tackled black boy trauma and how it is growing up for us.
Yeah. And talking about that, you know, it's so true. Even within the Latin community, I think just within minorities, it's just so taboo to go and talk to somebody and express your emotions because, you know, in a healthy way, because it's just like, oh, you're just a bitch. Like, just get over it. It's fine, you know? And, you know, I think our generation is trying to break those generational curses, you know, what we bring on. We're trying to be better. You know, I got my kid into counseling very early on because I needed him to have an avenue to talk comfortably, you know, because we have a very close relationship and we talk about a lot of things. But I wanted him to grow up in a healthy way and knowing it's okay to show emotion. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. And what I love what Ladarian does with Malik and Tay is they are very open with their love for each other and that brotherly love that they have for each other, and expressing that, saying, man, I love you, man. I got you, man. We're not going nowhere. Where I go, you go, and expressing it in a healthy way. But yes, Malik has so much trauma, and a lot of the things that happen and a lot of the way his magic manifests is being triggered by that initial trauma as a 6-year-old. And that magic kind of spews out of control because he doesn't know what to do with it, because at the time his magic is coming out, he's also flashing back what he had to endure and witness as a 6-year-old, because you come home to your mom surrounded by 4 hooded people. And then a flash of light and some shadows and your mom's gone. You have no idea what happened. You just know the bodies aren't counting up.
And the only person,
and you're carrying that, and he's constantly saying, "She's, you know, is that her? Is she coming back for me? Is she alive, or is she really dead? Like, or if she is dead, where's the body?" And so he's he's just carrying around like this burden on his shoulders, and Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to watch, not watch, but read it and say, man, like that. He's carrying around so much trauma. And I don't know. I just want to see how his story is going to progress.
Going to play out. And then in dealing with trauma, we see going into chapter 3 when he's leaving. Well, before he leaves, he takes a little stroll past his old neighborhood, seeing everybody and seeing, and he has some more flashbacks of how he used to play with his play cousins and where they used to play baseball or with the aluminum bat and the tennis ball and where they used to play basketball at. And he's reminiscing because he knows he has to leave because these memories is too shot for him. So he takes this like little stroll past my last neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? And he goes to the house where, everything happened at. And I like that reflective. It's like, I'm putting everything behind me and my brother is going to be getting out of here and we're going to be leaving. But I want to take this last little stroll through my neighborhood, and as he's leaving and we enter into chapter 3, he's like, he got the wind in his face, he's blasting some Kendrick Lamar, whatever the case would be, or whatever new album was on the radio. And you see that we don't realize Tay is sick. And this is the introduction that we get to Tay being sick. He has diabetes and he doesn't have his insulin. And now we get to see, this is the only time in the story so far where we see Malik vulnerable, where he shows emotion of, I care. This is my brother. I love him. And he's panicking because Tay is passed out, and obviously he's low on sugar, being a diabetic. So Malik's he's panicking, and you can tell in the audio book. That's why I'm glad I listened to the audio book. And I know I didn't read the book.
Audio was amazing,
but the audio was amazing.
I did both. The audio is amazing.
Or you hear the emotion in Malik as he's trying to rush and go. He can't go to no hospital because they're gonna ask too many questions.
There are too many questions.
He pulls over into a gas station. The infamous, the first scene of the book, for real. This is when I knew it was about to take a turn, because as he goes into the gas station to grab some snacks, he says a black pillar, a black smoke shadow passes me while he goes and gets all of these snacks. And he's like, I got $20.
Because at the Carwell's house, I don't know if you picked up on it, he saw a shadow in the window too.
A shadow passed.
Yeah. And I was like, what is that shadow? And I think there was a shadow in the mama scene too. So it's just like,
I ain't gonna say it.
Yeah. It
don't, I ain't gonna say, I almost said the names. I almost said the name, but it started with a B. I know what it is. And we're gonna tell y'all what it is later on. But that did happen in the shadow going past. And then, he says he's seen a tall black man who, who I feel like can play that part? Orlando Jones. I don't know if you know. Orlando Jones seems like an Yosemite Sam type of guy. Absolutely. I like him doing that.
I do like him, but I need him to get the accent down, though. I need him to get that Sam accent.
I think he can do it.
Yeah, because the narrator for Blood at the Root, his
the way he
voices for the characters, he brought the book to life for me. The audio was amazing.
Of course.
And I'm doing, because I read through it. I did a mix the first read through. Reading it for the podcast, I'm doing the immersive experience where I'm listening and reading at the same time so I can highlight. And it's just like, wow, I forgot how good this audiobook was. It was amazing.
But yeah, so the next, Malik has $20. He picks up snacks and he needs gas to get to Cali. So obviously he has to do everything to save his brother. He's asking the dude like, yo, I need, let me get this gas and let me get the snacks. Obviously son not budging, but on the TV, who
do we see on the TV?
The disappearance of Katia Washington. Yep. She's disappeared. And I like what LaDarion Williams did in this scene, because the news, as they try to do, they try to say it's drug related. They try to throw something on the black females. She was a troubled youth.
As if that has anything to do with anything.
No, but this is what the media tries to do when something happens like that, when they want to when they get their information to just say this and they don't know the facts yet. And they just try to throw that on your jacket without knowing. And then we get to see Alexis.
Right.
We get to see Alexis.
We see her. We realize it's her.
Well,
but he's like, wow, she looks
right.
She looks familiar.
Right. She looks familiar. And it's
like, in my mind, I'm like, who is he recognized? Because who does he know? So we know later on that's Alexis.
So that's one of the stories that he gives us. There's a missing girl, Katia Washington. We see Alexis. He's arguing with the store cashier. He can't get his drink. Then the cashier goes in the back we find out that Sam, that he can't smoke in the back or whatever. So Malik is like, man, F this. I'm about to just steal this whole thing and get up out of there. But I'm like, he needs to put the gas on. So regardless, you still ain't getting the gas. So you lose. You just need the food for Tay. Tay is more important first.
Right.
So I felt like the gas station scene was setting Malik up to go the opposite way in the book.
Opposite way, like they're headed to California, and it's just like we're about to have a detour of some kind. And again, we meet the character. I have his full name written down, but we're gonna in the book he's just referred to as Sam for short. And the shadows that follow him, and you kind of think, oh, this is probably who was at the Carwells. This is probably who was at Mama's house 10 years ago. And so I quickly started like saying, is he a good guy? Is he trying to help Malik? Guy? Yeah. What's happening? Who is this stranger? And this is where I started to kind of realize that Malik can sense either magic being used or other magical people, because he gets that tingling sensation. He's just, and I think it's because Sam is using magic, or he just is like him. And so, and then I'm going to keep bringing it up. The blue magic, the smoke magic, the shadows. So obviously Sam's magic is something to do with shadows. I don't know what yet, but I made note of all those descriptions, even like going back to the previous chapter. When he's having the flashbacks, they describe it as blue and violet, like on like indigo and blue. So I was just like, is that kind of like a mix of what his mama's magic looked like? Or is that just what memories look like in this magical world? So I'm probably paying a little too much attention to the colors.
No, you got to pay attention to everything.
Yeah. So, but yeah. And so, we go into, so what are we on? Like we're on chapter 3 now, right?
That's still 3. Cause remember, he goes into the car and he's like, man, I'm getting out of here. And then Sam right next to him. And then he's like, man, I'm about to fling him. You know what I'm saying? About to conjure this magic up. And then when it doesn't work, he's like, I know everything about you, Malik. Malik Barrett.
And then I don't know if you picked up on, well, you did the audiobook, but we hear Sam's accent. He's some type of Haitian Creole, Haitian French. And he says magique. Now, anywhere else in the book, magic is spelled like what we know magic. Right. But in the book, it's spelled MAGIK. So I like to pick up on the linguistic things. I'm just kind of like, so we quickly realize, okay, this is kind of a good clue as to where Sam is from and where his magic may come from. You know, in that Haitian Caribbean life. And so, Haiti's very close, it's right there next to the Dominican Republic and very close to Puerto Rico. So all of it meshes well. And I said, I've seen that spelled that way before. So I was like looking and Googling everything. And, I want to know what his smoke magic is all about.
And then as he's telling him, that's not going to kill you. That's not going to cure your brother. And he's kind of like, oh my God, this dude got magic. So he's talking to him and he's like, I can't believe, what's going on with this dude. And dude just dropped that red card on him. Drops that red card.
But I picked up too, just before we get into that, he tells him, heal him. And I'm just like, wait.
Use your power to heal him. You can heal him.
Tay.
Like, what?
And I'm like, wait. So he's got healing things, and he's like, but I know what you're capable of. And you're like, how do you know Malik?
Right.
And how do you know his last name?
When he said his whole name, I know what you can do, Malik Barrett.
Yeah. Like, and Malik was like, who is you?
This is why I like the writing, because any other people would have been like, well, what is it? Well, how do you? It's like, yo, who the hell is you, bro?
Who the hell is you? Right.
Son. Like, you get too close to me, and this is how we talk. This is how we act.
Right. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So he uses his magic. He kind of gets Tay stable. Doesn't heal him, but he gets him stable enough. Yep. And then that's when the red
stable
card
enough
is dropped.
To get to the red card.
And he reads the card. Go ahead, I'm going to let you finish it out because we're about to be done.
Yeah, he gets his card, and like I picked up on before he even opens it, could this be from my mama? They keep referring back to she might be alive, and I'm just like, she's not dead. She's not dead, whether this letter tells me or not. She's not dead. And then we quickly find out that the letter is from Mama Aya, his grandma. And I immediately was angry for Malik. I'm like, where has your grandma been for the past 10 years that you had to go through 10 years of hell and foster care? and she just drops a letter
Right.
as if I just saw you last week.
Right. Especially
like,
foreshadowing your grandmother must be magical because this dude is magic and she sent him here. So if she had all this magic, why didn't she look for you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
and I don't know if I read it wrong. I'm sorry. I think as he opens the letter, like it's literally writing the letter sealed as he's reading it. Yeah. So
it starts to print up.
You know, hate to go back to Hogwarts, but you know, all that. I'm just like, I love it. I love just seeing this magical world.
Yeah. We loving it. We loving it.
But yeah, I was just angry. I mean, were you angry for him? I was just very angry for him.
Because I'm like, yo, how are they just going to leave you to fend for yourself? You had a whole family. You possibly have a whole family, a grandmother who, when you think about grandmother, you think about age. And I just thought about the age factor because I was listening to it in the car. And that was like the age factor. So I was thinking like, yo, why she didn't come get you? She's old enough to know that she had a grandson. So where was she at this whole time? Yeah. And then Sam is like, you need to go to New Orleans. You need to go to Louisiana.
You need to go to Louisiana.
To see your grandma. You know what I'm saying? Like she can heal Tay. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then he's like, I'll get in with you. And then Malik is like, hell no, you ain't getting to call me. I don't know you. Right. And then he
shows him, I don't know if he shows Malik or Sam does it, like does something to the car where they don't run out of gas.
Yeah, he gives him a full tank of gas and he gets the car running. And then he poofs, disappears and flies off. And that's when Malik is like, yo, he on some Superman shit.
Yeah, right.
And that's what kind of, I think that scene, that interaction with Sam, he filled up your gas tank. He told you, think about it. He filled up your gas tank. He told you your grandmother could heal your brother. You can't take him to the hospital because they're going to ask you questions. Right. And now this is piquing interest because you've seen a letter just appear on words, a blank piece of paper appear on words.
With your name.
So now Mama I'm eager. And this is your grandmother. So now he drives off and says, yo, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to just go to Louisiana. And that's where we end off on chapter 3.
On chapter 3. And mind you, this was just a prologue and 3 chapters.
All this happened, y'all, in 3 chapters. So we gave y'all the 3 chapters. Now, if you go and listen to it, you keep up with us, you'll understand like why we're so excited.
Yes, read along with us.
Yeah.
Comment, what you maybe noticed that maybe we didn't notice. Let us know. But yeah, I my visceral reaction was, where you been?
Where you been?
Right? Where you been? But then after I let it sit there, it's like, there's got to be a reason why.
It's more to it.
She hasn't looked for him until now.
Right.
And we will learn. I don't know how quickly we learn. We do realize the why.
Right.
But I just started thinking like from just fantasy books that I've read in the past. It's like there's always a reason why they couldn't come.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I'm you don't even understand. This is what made me want to kind of continue though. It took me 2 days, 3 days to finish the audio book because it was just so interesting. It was like then when we get to chapter 4, how accepting the family is, but it's like, yo, what if y'all been at this whole time? Why y'all? And then we get to see more enraged Malik, so we get to see more emotions in chapter 4.
More emotions from him and getting to just again his whole. You'll if you're reading along. He alludes to, I have no family, no friends for real outside of Tay. Okay. And so this whole time for the past 10 years, he's been an orphan, right? And so 100%. Now suddenly he has a grandma and he has an aunt, an auntie. And so he's got to come to terms with that. And he's not, we're just kind of giving y'all a teaser as to what's to come. He's not immediately accepting. He's like,
nope. Don't give it to him. Yeah. Let them catch up to us. Yeah. Let them catch up to us, man. But we thank everybody for tuning in. We done did the prologue and we did Act 1, chapters 1 through 3. We'll be back next week. The episode will drop on Monday, November 4th. And then we'll be back the following week with finishing up Act 1, and you'll get to see how Malik reacts to meeting his grandmother and how everybody's just acting normal and Malik don't really dig that.
He's not fucking with it. He's like, nah, I got questions. I got lots of questions.
Like y'all trying to dance and have a cookout. I got questions, motherfucker.
I got questions. Let's sit down and let's have a talk over a plate. Sure. But I got questions.
Right. So we thank y'all for tuning in, man. This is Central Booking Podcast. I am your host, Rod.
I'm Jay. And thanks for tuning in. And we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.